Hey everybody, this is Alex Merced from alexmercedcoder.com. This is another video on different headless CMSs. This is another one called Contentful, which I have used before. I do have a project that uses Contentful. So first I'd start off with the pricing. So if you've been watching this video series on different headless CMSs, you kind of know what a headless CMS is and the deal is. By far, I think this seems to have the most generous free plan. So that's the community plan. But it's also sort of one of the biggest jumps in price. So you can get, and again, the difference is when you look at these plans is that a free plan makes it easier to get started and try out a service, um, you know, but having a very generous free tier, what tends to happen is that it allows you to get pretty entrenched and pretty bought into the service. And sorry for the sirens going by. I live in Brooklyn. There's always a lot of sirens in Brooklyn. Um, But basically, what happens is that when you hit sort of that peak, that's a big jump in price. Like this is one of the things with Heroku, where Heroku has a very generous free tier, but once you get to the point where you have to pay, the price goes up quite a bit, and you're kind of already bought into the service. That's kind of hard to, really shift gears. Okay, so that's generally like the strategy with that kind of pricing, which is not a bad thing. Okay, I mean, I still use Heroku and Contentful because I think they're great services. But just to be aware, sort of like, just because they have that generous free tier isn't the only consideration. You want to think about sort of your future growth of your project and whether you're going to be needing those other tiers and seeing which one. Now, again, this is a pretty generous free tier. So again, you can get up to 25,000 records before you ever need to. You can have up to 48 content types. You can have 2 projects, I think, spaces, community, users, environments, roles, role types. Okay, it doesn't really say there's like a limit on projects, so I guess it's just 25,000 records, 48 content types across your projects. And now, this is new. Contentful now actually includes the ability to do GraphQL APIs on top of standard APIs, so that's pretty nice. But let's get started. Okay, I think I have an account already. Okay, I just want to log in. Okay, so this is my blog account. So basically what I did here is I just made a very basic blog with Contentful, nothing crazy. If I wanted to create another project, I'd go over here and I would create a new space. Okay, for organization, you are creating the space for the organization myself. If we're creating a paid space, so I'm going to be creating a free space. Let me create the free space. No, I don't want to add payment details right now. Let's see what happens if I create an organization. Okay, we'll just call this test and I'll delete it afterwards. Create an organization. Organization ID. Okay, cool. So now I'm under organization, so now I can switch between myself and test. And then here what I'm going to do is I'm going to add a space, because I think you can easily add one space for free. Yep. Okay, I'm going to create an empty space. So we'll just call this dogs, because that's what we typically do. So proceed to confirmation, confirm and create space. And welcome to my dog's space. Okay, cool. Okay, not going to worry about any of that right now. First, let's create the dog model, so content models. So I'm going to go over here, and I need to create a model. Okay, so I'm going to create the content type of dog. So dog. And then I get to add fields. So I'm going to add a text field, short text. Yep, and we'll call this name of the dog. And then we'll create a number field, which is the age of the dog. And then we have our fields. We'll save that. Okay. Save. So we've created our model type. So again, you're allowed to create up to 48 content types under a free account. And let's see here. That's good there. So now I want to go to content. so here I can see what kind of things I can add. I want to add a dog. So I'm going to add a dog called Sparky, who's 5. I want to create, let's go back over here. Let's create another dog, Fido, who is 6. Okay, cool. So we created some dogs. Now it's just a matter of actually calling the API. So let's see here. You want GitHub. I mean, that's if you want to install the Contentful SDK, which has its own functions. I just want to make a standard API call. Apps. Okay, well, let's see locales, extension space settings, roles and permissions, API keys. Okay. So this is what I'm going to need in a second. This is the space ID and content delivery key, which I'll delete afterwards. But what I need is the help center. Just remember how they just get the basic URL. Users, roles and permissions, account settings, administration, getting started. Working with translations, users and teams. Adding content, media, managing multiple entries, views, folders, constant search. Guides, Contentful. Code, personal access token, serverless architecture. I just want the API URL. Okay. I guess not the route I want to go. Select the environments this API key should have access to. Master. That's fine. Here we go. Developer docs, I think is what I wanted. Here we go. API reference. Content delivery API. That's what I want. Okay. And let's start constructing our base URL. So Control C, cdn.contentful.com. Let's go over here and I'll just paste it over there. Okay. Common resource attributes. Okay, I just want to get a single type. Here we go. Okay. So then here would be the endpoint. So let's add that to this. So space ID. So I need a space ID, which is this here. Okay, and then I need the environment ID. Do I have one? Environments. I'll have to go back and take a look at that. Here's the access token. So here's the delivery API access token. So I want that. Control C. Access token goes all the way over here. And then what do I want? Content type ID. So let's go take a look at content type ID. Where's the ID here? Here, oh, it's just dog. Okay. Control C. So that goes over here. I think that's just going to be master, but before I do that, let me just double check. Settings, environments, master. So yeah, it's just master. So, oops. So go over here and then change this environment ID to master, and this should get me the dogs. Okay, so then yep, that's what we got. So if I take over here, just kind of look through it. Here are the dogs. These are just different fields of the dogs. Okay, so this just gets me the content model. Okay, I want a specific dog. So that gets me the content type. I want the collection. Environment and ID, no. Get all entries of space. So that's the adjacent response when not ready. So space ID. Let's see. I want to get the dog specifically. Locales, links, search parameters. That's one thing. Like Butter CMS and Graph CMS, which went over easy, this part was a lot quicker. This one you have to really read through the docs. I'm sure it's quicker if you use the SDK, and that goes for all three. If you use their SDK, makes life a lot easier. But I always like to be able to just do the bare knuckles entries collection. Get all entries of a space. I don't want all entries. Let's do this anyways. Okay, so it'd be spaces, space ID. So right here is where it changes entries. ID. So this should be entries instead. Let's try that. Okay, let's see here. Link space link revision content type dog. So here's Fido. So let's see here. Let's just collapse some of these sections. Sys items. Okay, so in items, this is one dog. And then this is two dogs. Okay, so items is the array of items in this particular. And then again, this should be giving us the array of all the types. But I just want one of a particular type. So let me see here. Thinking about how this is all set up. What I'm thinking is I would do this. So master slash dog slash entries. Oops, not there. Slash dog slash entries. Would that work? No. Let's try. Maybe I was right putting it over here. Dog. Nope. Let's see here. Let's keep playing around. Get the content model of a space. I don't want the model. Each space has a name of set of locals, metadata, content types. And types entries represent anything defined as a content type. Space entries must have link fields. Now how would I specify a particular model? I don't want to get a single entry. Assets collection, locales. Content type. This is probably, here we go, probably what I'm looking for. Environments, entries, access token, at content type. Okay, so I see here. So in that case, what we do is we're going to add a query here at content type. Let me just make sure that I'm looking at that right. At content. Oh, it's underscore type. So this would be underscore content type, and that would equal dog, and that should give me only the dogs, which it did. Okay, so that would work. Okay, and then you'd get, again, you get all this data. So there's a lot of data in the resulting request, which can be useful or annoying depending on how much of it you plan on using. But yeah, simple as that. You just create your API, read through the documentation, get your API endpoints, and then you just pull the data into your front end. So like that's how I built that blog. I just built a blog content type, added some posts, and then I can pull the posts into the front end and it's easy peasy. And again, you're good for up to 25,000 records. So on the free plan, you're pretty good for a while. So my name is Alex Merced from alexmercedcoder.com. Have a great day and enjoy.